Yeah, you're good now.
Okay, I guess we had a little bit of a problem. Wait a minute, we got to do the beep, 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 because I'm backing up, you guys.
Let's try this again.
Sorry, we'll try this again. You know, it was funny. I was at a bank one day, and I was in line, and the bank teller and I were talking, and it was time to leave, and I was backing up, and I didn't realize there was an older gentleman behind me, and he says, hey, you should have one of those beepers on. Anyhow, a little humor never hurts, you guys. I guess before we were talking about the YouTube and how we're doing well on that, and I think I was about to mention, I'm not sure if you guys heard me, but instead of sensationalizing the upholstery, which we probably could, we tried a little bit of that, to dabble in that. You know, I think we were tempted, right, Patrick? Like, in the beginning, I think we haven't taken those down, have we, Patrick?
No, not gonna.
Those really goofy ones. And when we got really serious on it, because we started doing the online classes, and we realized there's obviously a serious element to this. You know, people out there who are supplementing their incomes, and some people have actually opened up shops. So we figured that we should get a little bit more serious. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, on the YouTube, you know, we're not showing a 15-foot alligator on a golf course, you know, with an upholstered chair, and you know that we're not into that. We're not into the million views or anything like that. That's why I think with what we have, with the many views that we have, and also the retention rate, I've mentioned that before. I think that is what impresses me. It's like 4.5 minutes on average. I think that's really good. I mean, you're not clicking on an alligator for 2 seconds and then going on to the next click. You know, so people are watching, people are learning, people are appreciating what we do. But before I start now, I think I finished all the business. The Jimmy's not here today, so for all you fans of Jimmy, if he's watching, we'll say hello, Jimmy. Hope you're not tired. He was really tired today. I guess he worked a double shift or something, Patrick.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah. His movie was on yesterday, The Town. I saw that. I still haven't seen him because I always come in late on the movie. But anyhow. So I think we're caught up with the business. So check out the Broadway Upholstery Forum. A lot of people who know me or know the channel, Patrick, do you realize they don't know that there's a Facebook forum? I didn't know that.
Lots of activity lately.
Last week we got 12 in one day, I think, Patrick. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I think it has a lot to do with the Monday, what we do on Mondays, the live question and answers. Usually you guys can interrupt me at any point. If you have a question or comment, and Patrick will interrupt me if you guys do. So I wanted to actually start a little different today. I wanted to talk about some projects that I've been working on. I've got a really challenging project in the shop. This is a Martha Washington chair. Customer wanted to use old drapes, and you know, she cleaned them, but the drapes, you know, the fabric was in the sun, so it's really difficult. It's like working rice paper. So we did a YouTube video today. You guys should check it out. Really make sure you see this one, especially even if you've used ply grip and you think you're really skilled at it. I showcase some really good tips because the fabric requires it. So some fabrics you just kind of go along. You're not following along with some of the, you know, there are the stretching that goes on, the same techniques, but you can't see them. On this one here, because the fabric is so delicate, I take the time to show you. So I'm going to explain that right now. So all the tools that I need to do a proper job, I need the tape, I need pins, I need a regulator, I need my side cutters, I need my tack hammer, just to put the outside back on, a wooden mallet, the actual ply grip, my tack remover, my scissors, my gimp tacks, although I chose not to use the gimp tacks, and I'll explain why. On a Martha Washington chair, if you notice, the camera's going to pick up a little sparkly, that's a little the head of a pin. Okay, usually what we do is we use a gimp tack. There's no way to finish this. You can't glue this. Gluing won't hold. You need to actually take, the old methods was the gimp tack. You can see the old gimp tack holes. This is a very old chair. So if you do a proper job, actually the person that did this the last time didn't know the Martha Washington cut. And I've shown you guys should take a look at the Martha Washington cut, one of the YouTubes, right, Patrick? Mm-hmm. Really detailed on how to do a Martha Washington chair cut. But let me just show you that first. I wasn't going to show you this. This wasn't what I was doing today, but I did this the other day. So you see how the arm, the idea here on this, they were way ahead of their time with this traditional furniture. This is almost like a mid-century look, whereas it looks like the fabric, I mean the wood part is just sitting on top of the fabric. It looks almost magical. If you do the cut right, that's what it's supposed to look like. That's what is very distinctive on a Martha Washington chair. And check out the YouTube video where I show you how to do this. Okay, but what they did is they miscut it, and then they had a pleat. It really didn't look that good. They had a pleat down here in the old fabric, and they had gimp tacks, bing, 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 right here, and they had them cross here and here. And they actually, because their cutting wasn't that great, they actually ran a piece of gimp around the top here. So I could tell, yes, they were really good. They were upholsterers, I know that. But they may not have seen a lot of Martha Washington chair cuts. Or they made a mistake on one arm and they said, well, I'll finish now. I got to do the other arm the same way. So, I mean, it's easy to make. I can see that. If they don't have any fabric, they're stuck. So, but what I wanted to show you, the reason I wanted to show you, so we have this YouTube video that you guys are going to be seeing it soon, where I make this, I show you how to put the ply grip on, and little tips that I show you on a very delicate fabric that sometimes you get challenged with custom zone material, right? So that was one project that I wanted to talk about. Then, how are you guys at math? So I want to present to you a math problem. Probably just tell you the solution too, maybe. So look what we got here. We had a customer call us. Can you guys see the board? This is really interesting. The customer gave us it was an estimate, it was a brain teaser, right? First they sent an illustration, and they had this little mark down the middle. And the question was to us, can you give me an estimate to make 2 window seat cushions, 43 by 43, 3-inch boxing with piping? So I gave them an estimate of 4.5 yards each one, okay? Now, the key is the welting. If you don't have piping, this whole process here is I wouldn't even bother with. But because it's piping, okay, the thing about piping is what you're trying. The goal with piping is to make sure that you can go all the way around a cushion, no matter how big it is, with enough linear that you don't have any seams. Okay, if you only get 3 yards, yeah, you can do it, but you're gonna have a seam here, seam here, seam here, seam here. So I take that into account, is the 4.5. So the 4.5 yards, I'm really thinking now, 43 and 43 is, you could do the top with 1 yard, you could do the bottom with another yard, and you could do the boxing with another yard. Really, 3 yards would do it without piping. The other yard is for the piping, it's for the boxing and the zipper. Do you follow me so far? And this has to be done fast. You get people who are calling you sometimes, or even email with an email. You got to be fast because your competition, they're fast too, right? I mean, you really do have to be fast. So 43 times 4, 12, 4, 18, 16, 172 inches. So 36 times 4, I'm going by the yardage now, right? 6, 12, 4, 2, 4, 8, 12, 144. Plus 18, 12, 6. I'm still short. I'm still 10 inches short by telling them 4.5. So I'm going to change this to 5 yards. You see why I did that, you guys? It's all based on the piping. I want to make sure that I could take it and run it the whole length of the fabric without any seams. So your piping takes precedent over your yardage estimate. That's how I do it. Okay, but now here's the other interesting thing. So then they say, so then you need 10 yards total, right? 10 yards total. Now does 10 yards, then they come back and they say, I only wanted 1 cushion. Okay, so if they only want 1 cushion, I have to figure out, is 10 yards going to be enough to go all the way around? It should be, right? Because I'm eliminating 2 edges, right? So let's try that at 86. Do you guys follow this so far? 86 and 86. It's 12, 8, 9, 17, 172 plus another 86. 8, 15, 258. So how many yards, Michaela, do you have your calculator out? Can you divide 36 into 258? How many yards is that?
7.16.
So I would just say you need 10 yards either way. Now, if you could say, well, maybe we could do it in 9 yards if you do one cushion to save you 1 yard of fabric. Do you see that? That's really close. I mean, I know I could do 9 yards with the welting all the way around because we saved these welting in the middle here. So this is what you really have to be on the ball with your estimating. And if you underestimate on a job like this, and let's say they pick a fabric that is a white velvet, for instance. White velvet is the worst fabric to match on a piping, even if you're doing a good job. Taking the nap and everything, making sure the nap is right. It's going to look heavy and it's not going to look good. It's really important. So these things are important. I hope that you learned something there. Sorry for the mess, but okay, let's move on.
Lots of comments this week, that's for sure. YouTube comments.
A comment?
No, we have a lot of.
Oh, we have
I'm
a lot.
surprised you didn't do that first.
Yeah, I'm doing a little bit different today.
Are you done with that? Sorry, I didn't mean to.
I'm all done with this. I was a little excited about that YouTube video. What do you think about, how long was that YouTube video we just did, Patrick, with this chair? About
20 minutes, yeah, that's a good
So
one.
we found two, you guys, that's about average, isn't it, Patrick, 20 minutes?
Even that's long.
That's long for
Yeah,
you
that's
two,
long, yeah.
because the retention rate is 4.5. So didn't I answer my own question earlier about how long these videos should be? Wouldn't it be 5 minutes?
Yeah, around that time.
So 5-minute videos. Maybe you should split up those videos into 5-minute segments. Would people tolerate that? I mean, why don't you just make them part 1, part 2, part 3? What do you think?
Either way is fine. I think as long as we have stuff going up, it's all we should care about.
I think people get a lot of value when you show them, when you do a 20-minute video. They can decide for themselves if they don't want to watch it, right?
Exactly.
So I think we offer some good product on there. People say that to us, Patrick. I really do. Today's video was, you guys should check it out when he posts it. I thought it was really good content. A lot of what I taught today is things I almost forgot, because I'm so mechanical. And we've mentioned that before. That's why the online classes, you guys always tell people, the online classes are the best teaching that I can do today. We're not going to do live classes anytime soon. So it's the online classes are the next best thing. They give you the content that you're looking for. And I mean, you guys have to put a little bit together. We tell people if they're going to use the online classes, they should use the YouTube classes too for support. And the best form of support that I think, Patrick, and I think Diana has already used it, and I think she might have a question in here. She's a new person on the Facebook forum. She's already used it as asking questions about certain techniques. So the Facebook forum I like, because they help one another. Our students help one another, right, Pat?
Exactly. It's going good.
So let's get going. One of the more popular videos was the tufting for beginners that we just did, and this is from Fire Root. This is a new video. She said, "Bravo, applause, more. Question: all the diamonds are equal distance, right?" Yes, they are. I have a couch back that has different sides, and I'm cutting the holes. The sides are not mirroring each other, which is leading to additional diamonds on one side. Well, that's a problem, which will hold a few additional buttons. So that's interesting. Now, usually that's not the case. You want an equal amount of buttons. I don't see any reason why it would be a different amount of buttons, but who's going to notice that? I bet, Fire Root, I kind of, tongue-in-cheek when I'm teaching people, because everybody has different techniques. And we use our personalities with our artwork, and that's what this is. A lot of times people consider upholstery artwork. So you could be the person. Now you might have to do this all the time with a tufted piece that you do. Add a button or two in the tufts. That could be your signature calling card for years to come. So I have no problem with that either.
Yes, I'm not sure what's going on with the comments on the screen. They're very blurry, so I'm not going to show them. But as long as you read them, it's fine.
They're blurry?
Yeah, there's weird technical problems today.
Yeah, we have a problem. It's not us, it's YouTube this time, right,
I don't know. It's the internet in here, I think, or something like that.
All right. Well,
as long as you have them there, that's fine.
We got from Tim, where we're talking about the rare find, how to upholster 1860s antique chair restoration, part 1. Tim says, I'm about to start my first attempt at reupholstery. What do I do with this horsehair? Is it valuable? Yeah, you betcha. You want to reuse the horsehair if it's clean. If it's not clean, you can wash it. And we have all kinds of videos on how to put horsehair, right, Patrick?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Of course, keep it, yeah.
The thing about horsehair, you guys, it falls under the batting. It's a batting. Foam is a batting. Cotton is a batting. Nightgowns are a batting. Clothing's a batting. Hay's batting. As far as horsehair is like the top premium batting that you could get. Why is that? Because, Tim, each hair is like a little mini spring, and it stays a spring throughout almost the life of a piece of furniture. Like talking 100 years old, I've taken horsehair, I've taken the muslin off horsehair, and it still has that spring in it. Okay, and that's that's the desired thing. That's why it's a fantastic batting. I mean, no natural fiber matches it, and no synthetic will come close to that. It is expensive though. For 15 pound, we have it on the line, right, Patrick?
Mm-hmm.
We do have that for sale.
We should. we have authentic and we have the rubberized.
Yeah. Do you know?
I don't think anybody's bought it. It's very expensive.
Do you remember how much it is?
It's like $500.
How much?
$500.
That's not bad for 15 pounds.
Yeah, the real stuff is just.
So 15 pounds of horsehair
You
will
pay
do.
for what you get, obviously.
Yeah, 15 pounds of horsehair will do a small upholstered chair, but not much more. If you're doing a sofa, you would need 2 or 3 of those. If you're doing an upholstered seat on a sofa, it might even need more. So it is expensive, but it is the best, as usual.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way it goes. The Upholstery Show live last week, Janine, keep these comments coming. We love you for these comments because Janine, in case you guys don't know, like Tim, I think Tim's new. I think Fire Root is new. And for all you other people that are new, Janine's been with us from the beginning, right, Patrick?
Mm-hmm.
Very encouraging, too, because sometimes we need this encouragement because we are busy. Some days you say, do we have time for this, Patrick, on a Monday? Don't we have to have something else to do? But we really do have our nose to the grindstone, don't we?
We like doing it, too. So.
We like doing it, yeah. Janine says, great question and answer as always. Keep the segments on your quoting jobs, which I'm going to get to, as it's very interesting. I was surprised to see the fabric chosen on Jimmy's chair. I didn't expect a stripe involved in a channel back chair. It won't be difficult to make symmetrical cylinders in the back. The pattern on the fabric being symmetrical from the center out. Yeah. So yeah, he picked a fabric that he knew, or this. Actually, Jimmy is now a professional upholsterer because he's getting paid for his work, Patrick. So as soon as you get paid $1 for whatever you do, you're a professional, right?
Yeah.
And Jimmy is so the customer's choice. Sometimes we just don't, like this one, we don't get to choose what we use. So yeah, we'll do okay though. The key to that is on the channel on his fabric would be to start with the stripe in the center, which he already has chosen. He didn't choose the stripe on that fabric. He chose the floral part, which I think is a good idea, because I think the floral part is as wide as that middle channel or all the channels. What happens after that, you have no control over, because we don't cut this is interesting now. I don't care if it's a stripe or whatever it is. We don't cut individual channels. We cut it from the top of the fabrics always together, and we cut the angles, and then where the fabric lies is where it lies from the middle channel out. So yes, Janine, I mean, it wouldn't be my first choice, any stripe of any type on a channel back, but sometimes you just use what you have. And I think it'll look okay. It's a small enough chair. And Randy has become a really great commenter, Patrick, and
he's here now.
Supporter. Yeah, thank you, Randy. We appreciate it, because I know Randy's got some good experience behind him, and he usually has some smart things to say, and we'll read what he says here. This was 4 days ago. This was about the Upholstery Show last week. He said, great video, very informative as always. Again, I like the segment on your incoming work. So there's 2, Patrick, and I think both Janine and Randy are probably, needing that, because that it's just helping them maybe with their work that they do. I think, right? Mm-hmm. Probably the best advice was on knowing what projects you need to walk away from. Ain't that the truth? I think maybe I should have walked away from this one. I have found that if you're honest with your clients on why you are saying no, they will respect you and come back when they have another project. Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, Randy. It's always, though, it's a sensitive thing when you're telling people no. So you're right. You have to have you have to do it in a proper way. You just don't want to be grouchy and say no right off the bat. In a negative way. You do have to explain yourself, I think, a little bit. A lot of times I'll say to people, "Oh, this is out of my wheelhouse," and then they'll that's a good thing to say, I think. So then we go on to the cushion field. Don't waste your money. I know an IKEA shouldn't mention the brand name. I know fill in the blank cushion when I see one.
Too late now. You might as well.
If it is more expensive than fill in the blank, shame on that manufacturer. I guess we were shown a poor cushion in that, and then I think we upgraded it or something. Ronald, on how to, there you go, pal. I was mentioning that thumbnail that you had on that how to upholster 1860s antique chair. Mm-hmm. Restoration Part 2, webbing and spring tying. So Ronald says, I'm trying to show my grandson the art of furniture restoration and upholstery. And do you do all the cutting also? Yes, I do. Or do you have an in-house employees and you install, or do you start to finish? I do start to finish. Although I have to say, he's probably asking because on the YouTube we have A to Z, right, Patrick? But we've had A to Z, I think. I'm not sure if I actually finished cushions and skirts A to Z. That would be a longer A to Z. But so he could have the impression that I don't do everything. But if you open up a shop, you need to do everything, even if you have people helping you, which I do. But you really need to know. You have to be a sewer. You have to be on the bench. You have to be cutting. Sometimes you have to pick up and deliver the furniture. You have to follow through on these things, depending on the size of your shop. But I do it all. Some bigger shops, they have a guy cutting. They have a couple of people sewing. They have a guy putting outsides on, which is a real skill in itself. They have a guy doing the seats or the springs, tying springs on the bigger shop. So if you're in a bigger shop, you could be in a bigger shop for many years and still, not be able to do everything. You specialize in one thing, which really doesn't help you if you were going to open up your own shop. So this is a good question. And he goes on. He's got this is a long one, Patrick. Then he says, because there's not too many anymore and it's a dying trade. I think I would agree with him 10 years ago, Patrick, but have you seen an uptick in the interest?
Definitely.
Yeah,
it really has.
I think it's coming back.
Because of the DIY stuff. People like that,
I think the trade is coming back. So what I see, there was a gap, Ronald, for sure. There was this huge gap. When I say that, I mean, it could have been from World War II where, the war broke in there and there wasn't much passing on of a skill to father-son. I'm not going to analyze it that deep. But there was a huge gap of the knowledge where there was a generation that missed out on this, for sure. At least one. So a lot of the information would have been lost if it wasn't for YouTube, Patrick. Yeah. YouTube's wonderful that way.
There's a lot of trades, you can say that about.
Yeah. I mean, if you watch the show, Ronald, you got to see this last video that I did, where I'm showing you those, filling in the gaps, as they say. And I think that's what the wonderful thing about this is, that one person can actually make a difference in a trade, to start showcasing these little nuances, I call them, in upholstery, that make you a cut above, really, no pun intended, right, Patrick? Mm-hmm. He says, every furniture is made to be disposable. Ain't that the truth? And we talked about that a lot, Patrick.
Yeah.
The pandemic has exposed this big time.
I think it's good, but
I know
keep
that
making them like that.
I keep saying it, but they got caught with their hand in the cookie jar for sure, right?
Yeah.
Because they designed this furniture.
Well, we knew that before then.
We did, but I never saw it. I see it every week. 5, 6 people a week call me and say, can you fix this? Can you do this? I can't. A lot of it's not repairable. So we see a lot of it happening, and I think upholstery is starting to get recognized once again for being good value and for offering good product. And that's where it stays, he said, disposable. They are making sofas and shipping. This is interesting, you guys. Listen to this, though. They are making sofas and shipping them across thousands of miles of ocean, usually, paying people all the way. I never thought about that. They're paying the shipping company. They're paying the people that load. They're paying countless customs, you name it. And then going to a wheelhouse, they pay for it, a retailer. He meant warehouse, I think, who pays employees to unload it, to get it to the floor ready to sell. Wow, Ronald takes us through a long process there. Isn't that interesting, Pat?
Yeah, I was going to get the comment up so we could read along with you.
And then he says the retailer also pays for the building, advertising, and the light bill, and take all the responsibility on the product and still sell it cheaper than the labor I need to charge just to upholster one of those sofas, to generate the money to employ 2 employees. And then he says, go NAFTA and ACFTA. We can stop any time now. The little guy can compete, and that's just what they want. Big government, big business. Yeah, I tend to try to be a little bit more optimistic. That just means you have to be tougher, Ronald. And Ronald, you sound like somebody that could probably teach a class. You know, to be successful in the upholstery business, I'll be honest with you, it's a 72-hour to 80-hour work week. I'm still doing that at 63. I mean, I think it keeps me going. I think it keeps me engaged. It keeps me, I think that's my exercise. Nobody should ask me, do I go to a gym? My work is my gym. But I have found, I have to be honest, Ronald's onto something here. Terrific. I agree with most of what he's saying. But you just have to get tougher, you know. And so the way I got tougher was that after my long day of work in the 90s, and for 30 years, I work a long day, and I go to a couple of towns over, closer to Boston, where it's actually Brookline, and I teach an upholstery class 3 nights a week, used to, and get out there at 10 o'clock and get home at 11, you know. I'm sure there are people out there who work even harder than that, I know. But what did that do? That got my name out there. That assured that I'd always have customers. And, you know, sometimes we battle that. That's a battle that we're always looking for customers. So that's one thing I did. This is another thing I do. Now I have my son and his girlfriend on with me. And, you know, we're all wanting to, you know, get a little pay and other people who depend on us. So I think we're very creative. Part of what we're doing now is the same thing, to expose this out there. Some people come to me and they have a sofa they want upholstered, and they say, I saw you on YouTube. So Ronald, you just have to get tougher. And you're right, you are up against all those things. And I always felt that, you know, and that I was up against a lot. It's especially true when somebody comes to you and they've been used to buying manufactured furniture. So when you some of this furniture is like they offer sales for $999. They use all kinds of catchphrases. They use all kinds of to catch people into financing and things like that, which is, I think, a dishonest thing. But they do all kinds of there's all kinds of, you know, things that they do to get people into their stores. And then that $999 price sticks in their mind. So when they do have something to upholster, maybe the piece that they bought, that's what they have in their mind, and that's really hard to overcome, because our labor cost on sofas now is up to $1,900. So right off the bat, before fabrics, they're already saying, well, I could go and replace it. They got a sale down the street, and then you try to, you know, convince them from there. It's hard. It's a hard sell sometimes, and depending on where you are, Ronald, I don't know where you are. It's even harder to sell it. So I understand that. But I've been in the Boston area, very competitive market. I've been upholstering over 40 years. In every in every capacity I've upholstered, and it's given me a good career. I would encourage people, if you can. We have we have a whole ottoman, Patrick, designed for a master. It's a master class. You could teach a master class in any high school, and it's coming back now, Pat, but people don't realize in the United States, a good old USA, they have adult ed classes at night that your space is free. You heard me right, FREE, because they're mandated to do it. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. The classrooms are available for you to teach upholstery, and that kit, it would be a great way to do it. So if you guys are interested, check out Upholstery on Broadway. Check that out. We have been a little disappointed with that I think somebody, Janine maybe, was going to do it. I think she will. But that's proven to be a little slower, right, Patrick, than what we thought. But that's okay.
Yeah, also I have a comment that ties into that. Randy says skills gap in trade started in the 80s with the push of everybody going to college. What do you think?
I think he's right. Liberal arts, right, Randy? You got to go to liberal arts, liberal arts, liberal arts. Now what do we got? We got a lot of people with liberal arts degrees, but there's, I don't know if the jobs match the amount of people that have got the degrees, and I'm not sure if the happiness factor is there either. That goes for people pushed into being a lawyer, lawyers and doctors and such, instead of doing what you love. You know how many people have said to me, they walk by my shop, they even poke their head in here, and they say, "You live in the dream, man, you live in the dream." Right, Patrick? Yeah. Patrick might not believe that. But they see a guy in a shop, he's busy, he's smiling.
Doing your own thing, you don't have a boss.
Doing your own thing, and things
You're
like that.
your own boss, you're doing what you like.
Mm-hmm. But it ain't easy, right, Randy? Randy knows. So Randy, I read his, and I read Ronald. Ronald, very in-depth, smart comment that he did, huh? Let's go to the next one. Cha, on the rare find, you can make new custom grips for your pliers using poly clay. My Patrick, look.
I saw that.
Look at my flag.
I know. Clay would be better.
But look how ugly they are, you guys. It looks like a bat landed on them. It just looks gross. But it fits my hand. I haven't even redone them because the grip is perfect for me, and I've lost these on occasion. I really miss them, and I try to get a new one that doesn't feel with really nice, pretty grips, and it doesn't have the same feel to it. But these are great. And then take my finger. The reason that's worn out is because I'm taking my finger like this and going like, see that movement right there. So these are great, and you guys, it's an essential part. And it's interesting, Patrick. We don't have these for sale.
You can't.
Why? Because they're not really an upholsterer's tool, as such. So you get these in any hardware store, really.
That's true. Yeah.
That's called side cutters. Some people call them wire cutters, but they're not the long nose. Don't get the long. Get the stub nose, you guys, like that. So, that's funny that he says you can make custom grips. That is a custom grip.
Yeah.
Veronica says, fixing a pop button. Brilliant. My partner, an engineer, was skeptical, but it worked like a charm. Thanks. An engineer would be surprised at that. We had two pop buttons. We get a kick out of these too, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
One of them is using your own home tools. We're thinking about some guy up in Alaska, and he can't get a German needle, and we're thinking, okay, how could we get a guy like that to be able to fix a button on a tufted sofa? Not that, that's the thought process in that. Maybe we should do more of those, Patrick.
Yeah, those little unusual videos. They usually get the most hits, to be honest.
Yeah, and then this one ran pretty good. Restoring a theater chair, and I think this was out at one of the Chinese theater out in Los Angeles, Patrick.
Is that a picture? The picture that's on there?
Do you have a picture?
No, you're talking about that. I didn't know that was from there. Was it really a theater chair?
It's No. That's what the customer told me.
That should go up on our wall then. We're creating a Hall of Fame down the shop.
Oh yeah, the Hall of Fame. We're going to do a Hall of Shame too, the jobs that didn't come out so good. Dawn says, hi, I have a set of 8 Hayward Wakefield, and that's what that was, mid-century cloth theater seats. He has 8 of them. He must have a home theater, huh? I think I will need reupholstery them, but I don't see how to disassemble them. We show you how to disassemble them, Patrick.
Yeah.
Right on that, that's part of it, right?
It should be. I forget how long that video was. I don't know if it was very long.
There are no fasteners, and the steel wraps. This could be done a different way, though. Some of them are different. He says there are no fasteners, and the steel wraps around the upholstery on the backs. The whole seat cushion seems to set into the steel tray, which also contains the spring-loaded supports. Is there a trick? I have 8 and I need 8. I'm hesitant on forcing anything, risking damage on one of them. You shouldn't have to force them, and there is a way of getting them off. Usually the seat's screwed in, and once you take the seat off, there might be more screws holding the back on, which you'll be able to see once the seat is off. But the key is, on most of these, is to take the seat off first. So figure the seat out, and you should be able to figure out. That back piece does sit inside that steel piece on the back. And Patrick, should I tell what happened to me in the movie theater with one of these?
I think you already did.
Did I?
Yeah, you want to keep rehashing that.
Should I rehash that?
Yeah,
well, I got to tell you, I there was this neighborhood theater when I was growing up. I didn't tell the whole story. And I was growing up in this area that there was over 100 years old movie theater, or close to it. And they, of course, they had all these old chairs, probably maybe like this. Well, they were the ones that reclined. These don't recline. A little bit, not as much as they reclined when I sat. But anyhow, you got these chairs, they're 80 years old, 90 years old, and, the theater full of people, and my wife and I go in, and I sit down, and the whole thing just collapses on me, falls down to the floor, the lady behind me, I'm on her lap. The whole row is shaking, Patrick, did I tell you that? And then everybody's laughing, including my wife. And then one lady in the back says, "Shouldn't we see if he's okay before we laugh?"
At least you can laugh.
And then I said, "I think I'm okay." So then I went down to the manager and I said, "Boy, you got to do something about these chairs."
If you did the chair, it wouldn't have happened. If that was the one you upholstered.
Oh, I don't know about that, Patrick. So I said to the manager, he wasn't very sympathetic, which probably should. That his first reaction should have been said, "Are you okay?" But he didn't. But then I said to him, I said, "Boy, these chairs, this must happen a lot." He says, "This has never happened in 100 years." So I don't know what happened. I think the rest of the story, I'm in a fog about what happened because I was embarrassed after that. Wasn't getting much support from that manager. All right, should I tell the other story about a movie theater, Patrick?
And that's enough for today.
How about comments? Any comments, Patrick?
Randy says political science equals, will you like fries with that?
Who said that?
Randy. always good comments from Randy.
Randy's a smart guy, I know that. So a lot of the upholsterers were very quick-witted. They were quick. And of course, guys are like that, sometimes on the job. I think it tends to speed things up during the day. Okay, so Maureen, now we're on to the Broadway Upholstery Forum, Patrick, right?
Yep, and hopefully maybe I can get the pictures up, they won't be as blurry.
So Maureen has a chair. She said, "Thank you, Broadway Upholstery, !" First chair ever, !
The pictures show up fine, so that's good.
One down, 5 to go. What is it about exclamation points? Remember that was the Seinfeld, wasn't it?
Yeah. Look at the dog in the picture looking at the chair.
I like that. Yeah. You shook at the job she did. That fabric that she did looks familiar. I think I've used that fabric. Look how nicely it goes with the oriental carpet. Did you see that, Michaela? That is beautiful.
I'm sure that was unintentional.
Oh, I'm sure she did it on purpose. I love it. Very regal looking. Kind of like that chair that I destroyed in that movie theater. Anyhow. Now we got Diana, and she's the new person. She's been a patron of the supplies online, Patrick. Diana says, "There a recommended order for webbing a couch, side to side versus back to front or front first, or there are pros and cons to both approaches." And I think I answered her. The way I answered her is usually the back rail is considered the strongest rail because it's usually shorter distance-wise, side to side. So it's just a small nuance, though. She had already done the job when she asked the question. But I did say usually I start on the back and stretch to the front. So with her, she said, "Well, I didn't do that. I hope I didn't make a mistake." It's just a small nuance. She couldn't make a mistake because I think I think I saw the piece that she was doing. It was a sturdy piece. She's okay. It's just a small thing. But on some of the newer furniture, you might want to consider doing back rail to the front because the rails aren't as thick as the older furniture. So the rule actually probably is better rule for the newer furniture to keep that going back to front, right, Randy? I bet Randy would agree with that. He knows what I'm talking about.
And this is from Michelle. I think she's watching. So.
Michelle, is it our Michelle?
No, it's a different Michelle.
So we have Michelle on the online classes. That's why I asked, right?
Yeah, it's a different Michelle.
Okay.
But she posted to the forum, and you didn't answer on there, so I figured you'd answer here.
I must have missed this. This is my project. I was in the past attending an upholstery class, but due to COVID, it stopped. Stuck on the arms. Any help would be appreciated. Thanks. Okay, so is this up, Patrick?
Yep.
So she's got an interesting project here. She's got a chair that doesn't have any. If you guys know, one thing I noticed right away on this chair is that it doesn't have an extra rail to separate your fabric from. And I guess I'll have to show you this. So I'm going to take my regulator and show you. Is this? Can you go to this? Can you go here, Patrick?
I have the picture up to it. It actually comes out fine.
Yeah, but I don't know if I can show you. You got this up
Yeah,
here?
you got that? Yeah, she got it.
So usually you see another rail coming down here. So the advice I would have given if she had that rail, it's a different advice, so I won't go into it. What she has to do is she has to create a rail. She could do that with a piece of webbing, but she also has to contend with the fact that, look, this fabric runs through here, so she can't secure anything in here. If she wants to do the arms, she can do them now, but what she needs to do, this is what you want to do. She's going to take a piece of webbing. Sorry. Wow, she's got a difficult project here. So, I mean, short of building a frame here, you don't want to do that. So this fabric runs through here, and her arm fabric has to go through here. So what she has to do, she probably should upholster this first. Upholster this first. Okay, and then what you're going to do is run a piece of webbing. Sometimes I fold the webbing in half, and I get the fold on the bottom to run it right along this wood rail and attach it to the back where my regulator point is, attach it to the front, really tight, use your webbing stretcher. So you're creating that wood rail that's not there, okay? Then what she wants to do is right on the very end, she wants to wrap the webbing around this that she created, stitch it, and then stretch it up, hand stretch it. You cannot use a webbing stretcher to do that because you'll distort this. You're fortunate that's the arm, so it's not a problem. Then you're going to take another one, maybe, and three, and do that. And then you're going to weave one, maybe, or two, and then attach. You can't attach these to the back. You have to roll them around this webbing that you created to keep the hole open so that you can run your fabric through, which is the last thing, right, guys? This is complicated. And then another point, so then your burlap goes on in a similar way. But then I see she's got a wood panel right here, and then she's got a hole right in here. This is a gap inside here. So what she needs to do is put a piece of webbing folded, I usually fold it up right along here, and then stretch it to the back, okay? And what that will do is fill in this little hole, and then she can take little pieces of cotton and put it behind here. So she's recreating, I don't know what happened to the old filling, but she's creating all this padding. I mean, there's a lot to this. I hope if she's doing this for herself, that's fine. But if she's charging somebody, that had to be charged. And so she only asked about the arm, so I won't talk about the seat. So I hope that answers a lot of your questions. Randy, what do you think about that? That was a complicated one, I think.
I think this is
I know.
So the other one's from Maureen, the one with the dog.
We got Maureen.
She followed up.
She did?
That's my dog Griffin.
Oh, Griffin.
Very cute.
Oh.
I like the name too. I was happy to have quote $100 a chair for those. So I wonder how maybe she has more of them.
What did she do? She quoted.
She got quoted $100 a chair. So she obviously got them done by somebody.
No, she did them herself, didn't she? She's doing them herself. She's saving $600 labor because she's doing it herself.
Oh, I get it now. All right.
Wow.
I was a little confused. Wow.
There you go, you guys. There's the value.
I love my exclamation points.
There's your value right there, you guys,
Wow.
right?
Yeah.
So think about that, Patrick. You know, we're saving people a lot of money in labor.
Great.
Yeah. So let's move on to the segment that we've been talking about that people seem to like, and that's estimates. And so let me get my estimates out here. So this was an interesting one. This was a customer who had a fully upholstered chair with the skirt. She's got 2 cushions. I would call it a club chair with the skirt, let's say, an older club chair with the skirt. And it had contrasting piping. So when she originally came to me, she was just thinking about doing it all in one. So I quoted her a price out 8 yards. And then she said she changed her mind because we're still in the process. The same labor. I'm not going to charge her any more labor. And then now she wants the contrasting piping. So in a case like this, sometimes I take a little bit off the front, off the 8 yards, but not on this chair because it has the skirt, it has the pockets, it has a seat cushion with the boxing, it has the back cushion with the boxing, 2 upholstered arms. So I said, no, I need the 8 yards there. So in addition, she needs 3 yards for contrasting piping. Yeah, you heard that right, 3 yards again. So you want to make sure that you have enough fabric to go around the longest part of the chair, which in this case would be the skirt. So you imagine the circumference of the skirt. You want to make sure there's enough. Really, I probably should have told her 4 yards, but I don't want to break the bank with her. So I know 3 yards would be okay to do all the contrasting piping in a way that it's going to be satisfactory. So. No changes, in other words. My notes read, 1 fully upholstered chair, and I have the price, 8 yards for the body and 3 yards for contrast. No changes, that's style-wise. Keep old cushions, contrast welt. So that's an interesting job. That's just 1 chair. Can you imagine the instructions that you get? And one thing you don't want to do is overthink this, you guys. I mean, we have, I'll be honest with you, certain trades, when they call me, they go on and on and on and on about really something that to me is so simple. I like to keep it simple. If you've seen the other videos that I've done, how to measure fabrics and things like that, you don't have time to sit and analyze everything that you do. So my work orders are very simple and to the point. I very rarely make a mistake, although that can happen, I know. But it's because I tend to keep things simple and doing it so long. So if I could pass some knowledge on to you, that would be great. We have a question?
We actually just got a new submission, if you want to.
Oh, yeah, that's good. Why don't you tell me what it is,
Let
Michaela?
me follow up on Randy.
Oh, hold on. We got Randy's asking a question.
He just
too.
did it first.
That's fine.
My nightmare of the week: 2 club chairs made in 2018, totally ripped up from a dog. All the fabric was installed with 9/16 staples, almost end to end. None of the extra fabric trim.
Wow.
Any opinion on that?
Well, you know, Randy, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I cut around fabric and leave the staples because it's just too much work. If it's not a heavy fabric, you can get away with that. And I don't think the other upholsterer is going to, 25 years down, would blame you one bit. I mean, you just don't get enough labor to take every single staple out sometimes. I don't do it all the times, but if I come across 9/16, especially the new staples, they break. And there's no break. I don't care what you say. I don't think there's a staple out there that doesn't break when you take it off, especially the 9/16. So I think you're stuck with that unless you could cut around it. And what it means is just, you know, you're saving a little time. Hopefully the job, you're not compromising the work. If you compromise the job, obviously you're stuck and you got to do it. You got to take them all out. But I hear you, man. My heart goes out to you. So that was one. Now, Michaela has one that just came in without mentioning a name. She's going to run it run it to me, and I'm going to give her the information she needs in order to answer
I'm not
it.
sure if this is something that we could even do.
Which would be good. Even that would be good to show people how we handle the ones we can't do.
They said, "Hello, I was looking to improve my sofa. It's a white leather brand name with rectangular side arms. Would it be easy to cut down the sides so they are not as high?"
It would be. So is that it?
Yeah.
So it
They
would
provide
be.
pictures if you want to look at the pictures.
I'll take a look at the pictures. It sounds like I already know the answer, but let's
It's
take a
from-
quick look.
It's the most recent email.
Oh, okay, I can look at it over here. Let's see. We got these, part of being around for so long, and then having a fantastic website, which I thank Patrick for. We're out there in the community at large, and so we get a lot of these quotes that we have to answer in a timely fashion. So guys, if you get an estimate like this, stay away from this. Is just impossible to do. What they're asking is, if it was a very good customer, I would tell them, please don't do this. I would do anything that I could to not have them do this. But it's almost an impossible job to do it well. So when you have somebody that's asking you to take a leather cushion and to shorten it down, which we get a lot of these, believe it or not, we get a lot of this, can you adjust this cushion to make it smaller? Of course, we can't make it larger. But I did do a couple of these recently for a good customer, and I regretted it. Even though it was a good customer, I regretted the whole time I was doing it. Randy, right? Sometimes no is better. But anyhow, the problem is, the stitching that they do. A lot of times they do top stitching in leather, which this one looks like. And you can't match the top stitch in color, and you can't match the pace of the stitching. It's like an old typewriters. I don't know if you guys know this. Once you type, if you half type, I saw this on Columbo once. If you half type a letter, take it out and then try to put it back in, it never centers up. I think Michaela's shaking her head. Yes, she knows that,
Yeah,
right?
I used to type on my mom. She still has her old typewriter in the closet, and when I was a little kid, I used to always type on it, just for fun. And yeah, it was never. It was like a little shadow of.
Yeah. It's
of
always off. The
yeah.
stitching's the same thing, and machine, even the same machine is going to give you a different spacing. And to try to match those, it's just not a good idea to take that type of job. So I would say, this is not in our wheelhouse, right, Michaela? Or she can use her own wording, but she's answering it in a nice, friendly way because we don't want to make enemies or anything. Or say this is a stupid idea, you shouldn't do it. That's not a good thing either. Okay, so let's move on. Unless you got another new one there, Michaela.
Nope, that's it.
So this actually could be part of the segment. If we get inquiries live, or we can always review too some things. Now here's a job that I took. This was for a therapist, and let me tell you, therapist it's probably kind of a sad footnote here, but therapists are the busiest people around now. And so this particular therapist called me. She has 2 office chairs she sits in one. It's a fully upholstered club chair, and her clients sit in the other one. And these are chairs from the 80s, and the fabric that's on these, I have 2 chairs that are in the same fabric. It's a purple velvet. And her chair is perfect. It's pretty much. But the client's chair because the clients come and, they might be anxious when they're talking to her and they're fidgety, but all the front of the arms of that other chair are all worn out. And so she's getting both of them done. So, and this job, I just read to you, 2 office chairs, 16 yards of fabric. Usually I circle the fabric amount. New foam and Dacron cushions with zippers, no other changes. Now what that means though is that the things that have to be done, you have to fix that. What's happened too is that it's all caved in on the front of the arm. So those are it's a no-brainer that you have to fix that. Some customers want to see it in writing, not many, but it's a given that, when you're upholstering a piece, you're fixing minor repairs like that. So let's just take a look. We got a basic one where it's one side chair, 6 yards of fabric, and the price. No changes. Pretty simple. Some of them get complicated. Here's an interesting one. One fainting sofa, 11 yards of fabric, circled, no changes, tie springs. Okay, this one needs a little bit of work. So it's a little bit more expensive. So you do add spring work onto your labor costs, you guys. So this is an interesting one. So a customer came to me. She has a sectional. We've recently made the decision that we're not doing customer's own material at the shop, which we had to do that because really, you know, you got fabrics like this behind me, and I'm seeing a lot of poor quality fabrics. Naga hides an old expression, faux leathers, leather, vinyls. We're seeing a lot of bad fabrics, so we changed, we made that decision. So, but in this case, she had a big sectional, it's a big job, so she bought a fabric for her cushion somewhere else, but the body she needed the fabric for, and we sold it. That was something we did, and we're in the process of doing that. So that's a little unusual. And then we got a sofa here. A lot of times what I have to do, we strip a piece of furniture, you take the skirt off, sometimes you forget it had a skirt, so I usually make sure I put that into the description. So here we have one sofa, 18 yards, with skirt, no changes, has a skirt now. She actually purchased two 50-50 back cushions down. We're making custom cushions for her. The back cushions are 50-50 down feather, which adds to the cost. And then two new foam cushions. So that's interesting. And then you have some pieces that are, maybe 10 to 15 years old, and they're really in good shape.
Another submission on the Facebook forum.
Oh, good. We have a submission that we'll talk about in a minute. And so this really didn't require too much, and he was a customer we've done work for before, so he didn't really need all that talk or information on the slip. So it simply says one sofa, 18 yards, and the price. One chair, 9 yards, and the price, and the total, and the deposit. That's it. It's great when you have a repeat customer, because you're not spending a lot of time talking to them about what you're going to do. They already know what you're going to do. They like you. They've used you. They know your timeline. They'll give you a little bit more time sometimes, depending on where the piece goes. And see, this is another challenge, you guys, in a shop, is to try to get an idea of timeline. Like I picked up two chairs about 2 weeks ago that she wants them for Rosh Hashanah, which is a Jewish holiday coming up. I think it's September 7th, Patrick, September 6th.
I don't know, I'm bad at holidays.
That was a really fast job that I needed to do fast, which I'm about done. So there's an example right there. So that's it for that. Let's
So I wanted to follow up about that. Randy wants to know, how far out are you on scheduling work?
8 weeks. Yeah, how's he? Where's he at work? That would be interesting to know. Is Jane online right now?
I'm not sure. She just posted this. So.
She
Jane's
has
from
a-
England.
Do you have that up there,
Yes.
Patrick? That is a nice chair. She's in England, so I don't think she's not asking for an estimate, right?
That'd be funny. I don't think so.
Yeah, because Ronald was
She said
saying.
the video she watched with all piping helped. That
Did she do this?
I would assume.
Wow. Let's read it. Just finished this little chair from England. The double piping was a challenge, but your video was most helpful. Thanks from England. Wow. Look at that, you guys. And that looks like an old English cottage of some sort, right, Patrick?
Yeah.
She's got a beautiful, that was not an easy job. Do you see that wood on the back? She's got the back of the chair. I'll tell you, she would agree if she's listening. I mean, she did a good job on the tufting too. Do you see the tufting? The inside back, that was hard enough. But I bet if I asked, if I were talking to her, she would tell us that the outside back and that back rail was probably harder to do than the tufting, right? So if I were to give an estimate for this project, it looked like it was just a reupholstery, although I have no way of knowing that. But if it was just a reupholstery, meaning you're taking the old fabric off, you're adding cotton where needed, sprucing it up a little bit, not tying springs, you're probably looking at that job about, $525 labor. And also maybe 3 yards of fabric would do that. But she used a contrast fabric for the back, which I think is a nice touch. That's a pinstripe fabric. That's kind of neat. You know what I like about that, Patrick? Did you notice? Michaela would notice this. See the radiator, Michaela, behind there? Do you think that she picked that fabric because of the radiator on the outside back? Because it actually matches the radiator look, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks interesting.
I'm
not
just
sure.
wondering. What do you think?
I don't know.
I see things like that. It could be too, she just ran out of fabric and she needed to use something, but I think it's cool the way it matches the radiator. Anyhow, Are there any more questions, Patrick, or comments?
Yes.
Okay.
Terry says, I haven't taken customers' own material fabric for about a year.
Wow.
Customers were rarely happy with their choice and it always involved more labor time.
Good for you, Terry.
So a lot of people are doing it. That makes us feel better about our decision.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard decision to make for me because for 40, part of the customer service angle is that you want to take in everything and help everybody, and maybe you'll get more work from it as a result. But if a customer's not happy with the fabric they picked, are you really what type of service you provide?
That was the whole reason, one of the reasons too we decided to do that. 'Cause
Right.
It reflects your work. If they choose something that's really bad quality and you do the work, it makes it seem like you didn't do a good job. But in the end,
Yeah.
they picked out the...
Like, for instance, we have a womb chair that we're doing another one, and we've got a string of womb chairs. I don't know what that's all about. It's like the fourth one I've done in a year. And that fabric, you really do need to have your hands in on that because a customer could make a mistake with purchasing fabric for that. That's a very particular fabric that you need. It needs to stretch both ways. And it can't be a stripe, for instance, and all that stuff. So maybe every job's now coming under that category. We got another
Oh,
question.
Randy followed up. He said 10 to 12 weeks. Because remember, I do this part-time, so only
Good.
39 hours per week.
Good for you, Randy. That's really good. That's really good for part-time. When are you going to do it full-time? But anyhow, I think, is that it, Patrick?
I think that's it. There are a lot of good questions today.
Very lively show today, I think. I mean, Jimmy wasn't here, so I had to fill in with other different things. I always actually like having Jimmy here because he talks about his online class, and I think that fills in some good time. So I think that's going to do it for today. Thanks for everybody, and thanks Patrick and Michaela for helping out, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.